The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Media Mash, a roundtable of Cowboys insiders dropping wisdom and offering sizzling takes on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys. Now, your host, Steve Dennis.
Oh my gosh, happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to Media Mash on a Thursday. It's exciting. 5 games left in the season. 2-game lead on the Washington football team, and they play them twice in 14 days. A lot to get into today. My name is Steve Dennis. We've got John Machota sitting right here from The Athletic across from me at about 2 o'clock. No, wait, would that be 2 o'clock? No, that would be 2 o'clock.
Ish.
Yeah. Rob Phillips, DallasCowboys.com, and all platforms Dallas Cowboys. And there's Jori Epstein, who just said that maybe her head got smaller because her earphones weren't fitting. You just wrote a book. How could your head get smaller?
You never know, but maybe we should take a vote. I don't know. All I'm saying is they fit the last couple times.
And your head shrunk. That's a little worrisome.
Honey, I shrunk my head.
Hey, be careful with old references. I made one to tell the truth yesterday. Crickets. Even with chill. You guys remember the old show To Tell the Truth, don't you?
No.
With the real Dallas Cowboys, please stand up. You guys never saw it.
John,
absolutely not.
We're
I
the
have
same
no idea
age.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And I'm nowhere near their age.
But I'm impressed with the Honey I Shrunk the Kids reference.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
25 years
I was
old.
surprised it came out, too.
Isn't that 25 years old, at least?
It was like one of the early things we watched.
It was like 1990.
It was the second thing you watched in your life. All right, we're going to get going, and we're going to start it with this from the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys today.
We know what people think of us. We love that. We're comfortable who we are, where we are. But I'm excited about what's in front of us because we're going to win this game. I'm confident in that, and just the prep that's going into it. But more importantly, we're going to. We want to improve, too, along the way. So I think that's all part about what the challenge of December football gives you.
Oh, I just love that. Here he was in quarantine, all by himself, had to watch his football team in New Orleans all by himself, locked, stuffed into a hotel.
Stuffed.
He breaks out of it, thankfully. He's healthy, he's negative, and he's back in the building. And did he just guarantee a win? Machota, did he just guarantee a win Sunday?
Yeah, he was sitting in that room just jotting down stuff on paper for several days. I mean, 24 minutes on a press conference. He was a lot of jokes back and forth. He was having fun up there. He was enjoying himself. I don't think it was by accident. I just found it interesting because it came at the end of an answer of a question that had nothing to do with about that. So it was kind of like, I'm just going to get that out there. And it wasn't like it was, and let me just make this clear. It was thrown in the middle of an answer. So you're just kind of like, I didn't even notice it at first, to be honest with you. But I don't think it was by accident. Now, I will say throughout the season, Mike McCarthy has said things somewhat similarly, like, well, we got to go play. I don't know. I can't think of the best way to describe it. But when I am transcribing, I'll be like, man, it certainly sounds like if you take this a wrong way, you could say he's kind of guaranteeing a victory. Like, well, we expect to go out there and win, things like that. But this one was the most that he's ever been to that point. And frankly, I like it, to be honest with you, because you're the better team. Like, you should have nothing. There should be no, let's quietly back into Washington right now. Like, no, You're getting everybody back. You're ready to roll. Like, say things like that. Do it. Embrace it.
Yeah, he has said things kind of along those lines. Like, we expect to win this game. The things like it, and it's to a certain extent, I think it's semantics, right? But he did say it, and he clearly wants to show his confidence level in his football team in the middle of an 8-4 start that has not been pretty lately. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he's been sitting in his room reading about some of the things that the criticisms of this team right now. I wasn't in the room, guys, for the press conference today, but I kind of took it like there was a couple questions about the run game and the separation with the wide receivers. Did it maybe strike a nerve with him a little bit? Like maybe he just wanted to kind of clear the air, like, no, we're maybe specifically offensively, like we're still that offense, you know? It almost felt like he kind of reacted to some of like the theme of the way the press conference is going a little bit.
It's also a little bit funny when I was researching yesterday for a story on Zeke in the run game, and I'm like, oh, they're still number 1 in offensive yardage. They're still number 2 in points per game, but the last couple games just don't feel that way. I think that Mike McCarthy, unlike what we saw from Jason Garrett in previous years here, doesn't think that you have to do either or in terms of like, let's focus on the here and now and let's think big picture goals. He believes you can say both. He told us before the 2020 season, I'm always going to say we're trying to win a Super Bowl. Like, that's what he believes. It wasn't the Philadelphia coach Nick Sirianni coming out with a beat Dallas shirt. I mean, he's not wearing a beat Washington shirt, but he believes it. He says it, and he thinks that he's got the game plan and the personnel and the health in his team to get there.
To be honest, all through the pandemic, when it was raging before vaccinations, this is one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to get it. Because I would hate to be quarantined for 10 days by myself. I'm a people person. I need my people, especially at night. Your mind starts to wander, and, I can just imagine him in that hotel room, his mind's wandering a little bit, and somewhere in there he just decided, I'm going to be the lead story on NFL Live Thursday at 3 o'clock. Now, I don't think he delivered it as well as he could have. Like you said, Machota, he kind of hit it in there. He kind of went by it pretty quick. I think we're going to win this game. And then he could have separated it a little to make the message even stronger. But everybody picked up on it.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to be the story today. Do you guys think he did?
I think he was sending a message to his football team.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with that.
I think he's charging it up to start. I'm back. I'm back. I'm not putting up with any negative nonsense. I think we're confident.
We've still got some swag.
We like where we are.
Yeah.
And we're going to win this game, and then we're going to get on to December football.
This is the best way I can put that. They're rolling right now on a 5-game win streak. Had just come off playing their best ball. He doesn't say that today.
Yeah.
There's no need to say it. There's a reason why you say that now, and that's because they haven't been playing well recently.
Right, and when I think we say, like, oh, he's trying to be the story. It's not that Mike McCarthy wants to be the center of attention himself, but he does want to take a little pressure off all of the questions about what's going on. Why can't we have a run game that's productive? Why aren't Dak and his receivers on the same page? And if he can be like, nah, we got this, and like that's going to be the story, I think it's strategic, but not about him so much as shifting the accountability around the team.
Yeah, it's and coaches very rarely do this, even in kind of a shrouded way. I actually like it. Obviously back in the day, Parcells was a king of using the media for messages to his team. But he's definitely doing that here. How much have you guys seen him do that in his tenure here? Can you remember specific times when maybe he did that a little bit?
Well, he said today.
Monkey butt.
Yeah, but that's not before games.
That's fair.
Let's step on. Let's not go too far off, but you're wearing that hat, so I got to bring this up. There's a difference between saying at Big Ten Media Days, I'm trying to hang 100 on Michigan, and then after you beat Michigan, then saying some people are born on third base and think that they did it all on their own, whatever Harbaugh's quote was. It's way different when you say things after than if you say it before. When you do it before, you're putting it out there, like you're saying it with your chest. That means a lot more than what you say. Everybody can talk trash after the result has happened.
Are you bad-mouthing my university football team right now, or are you bad-mouthing Harbaugh?
No. I'm bad-mouthing Harbaugh because of the fact that he said it after, and everybody circled around and was like, Jim, when you were a player, you guaranteed victory over Ohio State. So what would you do if your player was to do that? And he didn't want any part of it. Then, after they finally beat him, after his 347 tries against Ohio State, he finally gets a win. Then he wants to stick his chest out. That's not the same thing.
And he comes after Ryan Day.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He was born on third.
Triple, yeah.
Right. So
this guy from Michigan just talking trash about the home
can't
state.
stand Harbaugh. Okay. Anyway, so my whole thing is it's different when you're doing that. He's saying that now. I don't care about finding out 2 days after, we smashed watermelons. We had monkey butt in the locker room. No, when you do it before the game, that's saying something. That's putting it out there. I believe that that's trying to send a message. But that isn't like him to do that. And I found it interesting today when he said that he isn't big on messages and of the bulletin board material, because it's funny to me that he would think that stuff doesn't matter, because the guys live on these things. They're not waiting for the morning paper. They're seeing everything right away. when we used to have locker room access, we'd go in those locker room after those games. You know how many guys would be, like, before we even get in, 10 minutes after the game's over, just scrolling on the phone.
DeMarco Murray making us stand there for 35, 40 minutes when we're under deadline? You mean like that? Whenever you're ready, DeMarco, you're showered, you smell good, we're all standing here. Anyway.
Yeah. Rob, jump in on this.
I think it was more like, I don't think he came into the press conference planning to say that. That's just my opinion. No, I don't. I think the direction of the press conference, this is just my opinion. I think he wanted to shift it more towards, hey, we're still confident, because a lot of the questions directed, and rightfully so, have been about their struggles, and mostly offensively.
All right, with that in mind, and by the way, the classic message I've ever heard a coach send through the media about their situation or their player was when Parcells was having a little problem with Terry Glenn, his old buddy from his New England days, who wasn't playing. He was nursing an injury, and he would not get on the field, and he called him she.
Yeah.
All week. He calls Terry Glenn she.
He was
all week.
He did that all the time.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember that at all.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
It was in New England, right? I think when we were in New England together. Bill always had a story to sell, like when he came in for the press conference. To John's point, I don't remember Mike ever doing this, where he's, got something he wants to get off his chest.
I think what he's doing is circling the wagons. And you're right. He doesn't want any negative questions about why, because he's out. He missed a game, hated it. He's been alone, and now you guys are all, okay, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? Blah, blah, blah. And the other part of his comment, let's hear it one more time in there, rookie, if you're paying attention. Let's hear McCarthy one more time.
We know what people think of us. We love that. We're comfortable who we are, where we are. But I'm excited about what's in front of us because we're going to win this game. I'm confident in that, and just the prep that's going into it. But more importantly, we're going to. We want to improve, too, along the way. So I think that's all part about what the challenge of December football gives you.
Oh, and by the way, let's sneak this in because, of course, all of you went to Dak with this comment from McCarthy, and Dak with this very brief answer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a follow-up to there. I mean, it was a longer response behind that.
Yeah, Dak said, I don't think this makes anyone's expectations any higher because everyone in the building was thinking we're going to win, and he was just voicing it, and now it's time to be held accountable. But
when I hear the beep, I'm wondering which word he used, except somebody did print it. So
the S one, yeah.
Well, it's funny.
Well, Jori could have been.
Okay, I know.
No
this
bleeps.
Is a whole conversation.
Are you the one that
an
printed it?
uncensored Twitter account?
On Twitter,
Okay,
yeah.
but this is why, because as y'all know.
Didn't everybody do that?
Okay, but I know, but this is rare for
You
me.
just let it go with the S word?
Oh, my God. The Athletic embraces that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We can throw in
John
F-bombs.
works for a publication that can say whatever. Jori does not.
me.
I also
like I've
grew
seen
up in
her
a
do it before.
household where we do not cuss, and at a school where we don't. That said, like you were saying, we discussed this after the interview. If I just put the asterisks, there were some options of what he might have said, so I didn't want there to be a lack of clarity. And then my sister, who we had just got her more engaged in Twitter this week, texted me like, "Don't let high school Jori see your Twitter. She would be appalled." I'm like,
Okay, hold on.
See, now you feel guilty.
Okay.
Jori's feeling guilty.
Okay.
I often take it out, but this is a 2-word quote, and I would have had to take out one of the
You were
2
doing
words.
it for the retweets. This is all.
Says the guy who does it all for the retweets.
Johnny retweets.
If you wouldn't have cut me off, I was about to finish because I am all about that. I know that SH star
Gets attention.
doesn't do the same as SHIT.
Yeah.
And there are people that'll comment on my stories that will say, I don't know why you have to put all the swear words in there, but because I love them. Because I believe it shows authenticity.
Yeah.
Darn yeah. Who cares if he said that? That sounds stupid.
And by the way, I love your line that you grew up in a household where you don't curse. That just means you're saving it up for a monster
There you
rant
go.
someday,
There
is
you go.
all that
Well,
means.
27 years in, it hasn't come.
Someday you're going to let it go, Karen.
Okay, real quick though. By the way, is this getting a bunch of play in Washington? Like, is this nationally picking up
Yes.
steam, or is it just?
ESPN's been all over it today.
sure.
But I mean, like,
Well, Werder was live with it
players are being
as soon as it
athletic.
happened.
yeah. Has anybody from Washington really picked up on
The
it?
best one was defensive tackle Jonathan Allen saying the only thing that's guaranteed in life is death and taxes. and say.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So
Wow.
No swear words?
I'm
He
asking.
didn't put a lot of thought into that.
Soft.
I'm asking that because I feel like 15, 20 years ago, like the rivalry is more of a rivalry, and that would probably carry more weight to that side of the matchup. And maybe nowadays it's not because players change teams and it's just not the same thing.
Have they been a rivalry since they become the football team?
No.
But honestly, like that's why people say, why would McCarthy show this video this morning to the players of the Cowboys-Washington rivalry with Roger Staubach in his Navy jersey, saying that the Cowboys-Washington rivalry, I cannot say that word.
You got to say it slowly. Just slow down and go,
It's a lot of
rivalry.
R's for me.
Because I used to say everything with R's. I had to go to a speech
I was
therapist.
Joey, not Jori, until I was 12.
Yeah. That's so
A lot of
cute.
Jori childhood memory lane on this episode, apparently.
Hey, Joey.
Anyway, I don't like. People are like, "Well, will that even resonate with the guys now?" But I think that's the point of like, let's make this a little bit more. Let's add a little bit of juice to the rivalry, and if the video does that for the players, and if bringing in what it was, then it might not be anymore. Does it? Let's go for it.
Well, I think he's circling the wagons. And when he started the comment by saying, "We know what everybody thinks of us." So he's taken the Dak point of view. Oh, chip on the shoulder. Here we go. We suck. And now we're going to show you. Have we heard that from McCarthy yet? Where he's now the leader in, oh, woe is us. We know what everybody's thinking of us. And as I ask you that before you answer, also consider, what does everybody think of him? Across the world, there's probably not one thing.
Yeah, there is.
Really?
Yeah, for the last 25 years that it's like, oh, all this hype about the Cowboys again, and we know that they're not going to get it done. Here we go. They're starting to crack. Typical Cowboys. Like, this is what they do. Obviously I remember the 90s Cowboys and what they are, but that's becoming a long time ago, and the reputation of what they are now is not that. And so I thought that that's what he meant by it, and I guess other people could take it a different way. The first part of your question, though, when you ask if he's ever said anything like that before, the one that stands out to me was when he said earlier in the year, after, I don't remember what win it was, he was like, oh, yeah, everybody's got, like, toothaches from all the positive things that you guys are writing, except for me, of course.
Except for me, yeah.
That was the only other time
That's
it stands
right.
out.
That was the woe is me from him. Rob?
That's a good one. I can't remember, like, Garrett never did this because Garrett always
That's
acted
funny
like
to even think about.
Twitter like didn't exist, and he whether it's true or not, he acted like he never paid attention to what any of us said or wrote. So it is kind of different to hear a head coach reference that kind of stuff. And I think, was it Clarence with the follow up? Like,
Yeah.
what do you guys think of us? So he didn't. What did he say? He said,
when Clarence asked McCarthy, "What does everyone think of you?" McCarthy's like, "Oh, that's your job to say, not mine."
Well, he just said we know what everybody thinks. Well, everybody's got different opinions. We talked about it yesterday. I threw this percentage out, see if you agree with it. Cowboys Nation. We're talking about all Cowboys fans everywhere. I think 60% of them are thinking they're going to be fine. They're going to get their footing. They're going to beat Washington, the Giants, and head to the playoffs. Rah, rah, rah. 40% are taking your point of view. They teased us again. They're a fraud. They're middling around with nonsense. 60-40.
But that works if we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, because nobody outside the fan base really cares. But when you're dealing with the Cowboys, the reason why they're always
all the other teams.
So you covered
fans.
your 100% of your 100% is this small pie of just Cowboys fans. But the Cowboys aren't just Cowboys fans; they're all fans, and everybody has an opinion on the Cowboys.
Yes.
And so their opinion matters too on the outside, and that's what I was going to when I say the perception is that, oh, typical Cowboys, we got to hear about them every day. They're leading sports center. I'll be honest with you, I really don't watch a lot of Stephen A., but I did see the one clip where he said that you always kind of feel like something's going to go wrong with the Cowboys, and I was like, he's not completely off with that. If you're talking about the last 25 years.
No, he's not, but he's, that's part of his, it's a bit. I mean, with
all those shows have a pro Cowboys person and a anti-Cowboys person.
One
all
of
of
my,
them.
And that
one
shows
of
you
my
the power
Uber
of his team.
drivers in New Orleans asked me if I'd ever met Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, no, and that's not on my bucket list.
Like not asking you if you've met like Dak Prescott
Right,
or
I'm
Troy
like,
Aikman.
yeah, Jerry, Dak, Troy, like we're good on those. But
What about Stephen A?
Here's what you should have done. You should have turned your phone on to record, have him repeat the question, and then say, who? And then send it to Stephen A.
I love Stephen A.
You do? I like him as a person.
But Well, but that
we
part-
all know in media these days, and by the way, consultants teach this to anybody who does sports talk radio. It's good guys and bad guys.
Right.
That's how you sell what you do. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? And you discuss it that way. That's all Stephen A. does. He's going to be every Cowboys fan's bad guy.
Yeah,
right.
and he's got some
represents
acting.
the haters.
And there's plenty of acting that goes in. I mean,
all acting.
Like after the games.
With him. All acting.
After the games, there'll be like a video up where he's like laughing hysterically like after a loss, and you're just like, it's like a middle of the season game. No one's even really that upset about it.
Yeah.
But like he's trying to antagonize. But that doesn't mean he can't make some good points.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying he represents that segment that just, it's like the Yankees. People that just want the Cowboys to struggle. And like,
Absolutely.
and you're
Lakers.
right. Like, nationally, there is definitely a segment of like, oh yeah, here we go again. You know, that's all hype. And yeah. And so I think that's what McCarthy's probably referencing.
Well, whenever the Cowboys do something good, it gets way overblown. In most quarters, it gets less overblown here with all of you and those that cover the team. But elsewhere, it gets way overblown because it sells.
I love it.
Cowboys
really
sell.
There's no team I'd rather cover, seriously.
I mean, they're sitting at a production meeting today for NFL Live, and you know, Marcus Spears is thinking, did you guys see what McCarthy just said?
Yeah, for sure. They love it.
So you don't have a problem with him saying this? Like you think
McCarthy?
Yeah.
None at all. No.
Okay.
In fact,
Does that surprise you that he doesn't?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I do think there's probably some segment in the media where it's like, well, he's putting a lot of pressure on his team. And it's kind of Dave Hellman tweeted about this. It's like this circular thing where we want interesting things to talk about and write about. And then sometimes when we get it, it's just like, oh, how could he say that?
Now,
No, I didn't feel that way.
I didn't either. I think it's great. It's great for numbers.
I knew Jason Garrett very well through Babe Loftenberg. And away from all this. And the most frustrating thing about him to me was he wasn't himself in front of microphones.
Right.
He put himself above it all. It was the process. It was these people mean nothing. Your questions mean nothing. Emotions mean nothing. He turned into a robot. And I've been in conversations away from here where, why are you doing that? Just be who you are.
We saw that in walk-offs.
For sure.
Yeah, say McCarthy is who he is.
Better this year than last year also. And yeah, it's the same, like you're saying, it's like if you don't want these fans to have a perception that you're robotic, show them who you are.
Yeah.
Why would you not want guys to see your like you cannot answer questions, in my opinion, without lying. You're just having to like constantly be robotic.
Well, and this is a big moment for him too. Like he might not think it is, but it is, because if they lose, and heaven forbid they lose really badly, you don't think people are going to be pointing back to this comment? And then the flip side is if they go up to Washington and blow the doors off of Washington, he's going to look like a genius for saying that. So
I also think that he's pretty good at, I hate this phrase, but I'm going to use it, reading the room, because I listened to your guys going after Kellen on Monday and Dan Quinn on Monday like I always do, and I think that both of them usually give really good stuff. This week they were both terrible. They were dead. They didn't answer any of your questions. It was all just moving the lips. And I think because they don't want to hear, well, should you run it more? Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to try to run it more. I mean, that's basically what Kellen Moore said. He didn't give any insight, and Quinn didn't either. And I think McCarthy may have heard some of that and goes, you know what? I'm gonna light this up a little bit. And we're gonna make this a little. They seemed a little.
What if they don't have any? Well, I'm just going to speak on the Kellen Moore thing in the run game because you mentioned that one specifically. What if they don't have any good answers for it?
Well, let's see if we have good answers for it, because that's in our next segment. Man, the Cowboys have to get back to running the football. I hate that phrase in 2021. I'll try to explain why, and we'll discuss next on Media Mash.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. and a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Media Mash.
Welcome back to Media Mash. We got John Machota from The Athletic here. We've got Rob Phillips from all Dallas Cowboys media and Jori Epstein from USA Today as well. You're so interested, and Amari was just walking by us here.
I know. Should we invite him in?
And he just made some comment about...
I didn't get to it.
You didn't get to it. You were hustling. We were talking about unimportant stuff, me and Machota, while you were over there trying to hear Amari's opinion live on the radio about vaccinations. You all in Cowboys Nation, we'll get to it here a little bit later. It'll be somewhere. I want to get back to, get to what I just teased for this segment. Everybody yelling and screaming that the Dallas Cowboys need to get back to running the football. You guys have heard that, right? Do you guys... Any of you take that point of view? Oh, my gosh, they've got to get back to running the football.
Well, they got to do something when they run the football. I don't know that it has to be one of these things where you have to do that first and establish that before everything else can work. But when they do choose to run the football, it has to have more success than it's having right now. I mean, there's no excuse for that. I mean, whether it's bringing in another offensive lineman, doing different run plays that you haven't done, they have to do something to spark it, because you can't have the run game that they've had these last few weeks and think that you're going to go. You might win all these NFC East games, but you're going home early once you get to the playoffs, because you can't just win just throwing the football. It's not going to happen. Not going to win multiple playoff games. So I don't know that you need to do it first off and be a run-first team, but you're going to have some success running the football.
Yeah, I think both things can be true. Like, they're in December right now, and typically that's when point totals drop and passing totals drop, and they're about to play 3 division games in probably cold weather, where it's not an indoor deal, where it's a track meet type thing. So they've got to be able to line up and run it and have some type of balance. That's what they've been so good at. But kind of to John's point, like, the passing game's got to throw defenses out of that. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we talked. Dak was asked about timing with wide receivers and the windows of passing and separation with the receivers and all that stuff. Like, they've got to get that going a little bit too. And I think Amari just spoke to it on the fan just now about, like, this is the first time in a long time that Dak and the top 3 receivers have all been together to play a full game this week, and they're confident they can get that going. That might be the most important thing, to get that rolling first.
Did he blame himself because he didn't want to take the shot? Never mind. Jori, your comment about running the football?
I mean, we saw that week 1 in the season opener, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sold out trying to stop the run, and Dak threw for 403 yards. And then the weeks that followed, the run game really opened up. So you want to have this balance, but you need to be able to have both. I do think there's a sense that if they can't get the run game going, the pass game is going to struggle. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. And I also think it's not so much about, you need to be getting. I mean, I think that, like, their rushing yards per game are down from like 160 something.
It's 97 the last 3 games.
Yeah, so I mean, they're down like roughly 70 yards from the first half of their game so far to the second half. I think the bigger thing is not your production, it's your efficiency, because as we talked to Kellen about this week, if you keep not being able to get anything on runs on first and second down and getting in these 3rd and long situations, that's how you end up in 2 of 13 on 3rd down, like you did against New Orleans. So pass game should be the number one, but you got to be able to be a little more efficient when you take your chances.
All right, here's what I think. And I hate the phrase in 2021, oh my gosh, they got to get back to running the football, unless you're Tennessee and you have a healthy Derrick Henry. Or if you're New England Monday night in a, whatever that was, 50-mile-an-hour snowy situation, and they only threw it 3 times. Other than that, and I went and looked at it. I broke down the entire season. I think Kellen Moore has done a wonderful job this season. Wonderful
Can you show
job.
the fans that math situation going on there? You've done some work.
No, this is just a breakdown of the games. And I'll get to it. You almost did. See, here's the thing. We all know this. Week to week in the NFL, it's about matchups. It's about what are you going to do to win? How are you going to offensively attack the team you're playing, and you're guessing what they're going to do to you. So you come up with a game plan. Every week is different. For somebody to throw out, they got to get back to running the football. It depends on who you're playing and what they're going to do defensively. And if you look at the job that Kellen Moore has done this year, in the opener, Dak threw for 403 yards against Tampa in a shootout. They couldn't run it because Tampa made sure they couldn't run it. If you're a good football team, you do both when you need to. And the Cowboys have done that all year. You mentioned their next 4 games after the opener. They ran it against the Chargers like it was nothing. Pollard went for 109. Zeke went for 71. Philly the next week, 95 and 60. Carolina, 143 and 67. The Giants, you could do whatever you wanted against the Giants, run and pass. Dak had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. But in the Philly and Carolina game, Dak threw 3 touchdowns against Philly, 4 against Carolina. And they ran the football. You have to be able. Now, okay, New England, what'd they stop? We talked about it on this show. They're going to stop the run. Dak throws for 445 yards. Never happened to a Belichick defense, ever. 3 touchdowns. He was superb in a win. Cooper Rush beat Zimmer's plan without Dak. Threw for 300 yards, throwing the football because you couldn't run. It's no different right now. The only reason why you're upset by it is because they're losing. Kansas City didn't let him run. Dak wasn't good enough to beat him.
Well, that's the problem.
Period.
They're not clicking in that area either.
Yes.
Last 3 games, 10 of 41 on 3rd down.
But that doesn't mean
that's just not going to.
It doesn't mean you need to run more, Rob. It means Dak needs to play better.
No, I just said they need to throw teams out of this. Oh, we're just going to load up and stop the run and dare you with man coverage. They've got to back teams off doing that.
And that's what they're not doing right now. Dak has not been his best. Now against Vegas, they stopped the run. Pollard had 36, Zeke had 25. Dak throws for 375 yards, and it was a heartbreaker in overtime. But Dak played well. Against New Orleans, Kellen Moore deserves credit. They could not run against that typical Saints run defense. And he got a 33-yarder from CD on the edge, and he got a 58-yarder from Pollard on the edge, running the football. He had to get it out to the edge to do it. My point is, you just don't say, they've got to get back to running the football. No, Washington's going to try to stop the run because they're really good at it. Dak needs to play better and make them pay and throw it. And that's today's NFL, if you can do both. And the Cowboys certainly can. And I think Kellen Moore has done a wonderful job of figuring that out. And I think that he has a really good handle of this offense.
Yeah, and as long as the weather isn't an issue, which it might be for this game, I think that's what you're going to see, because Mike McCarthy talks all the time about complementary football. Well, complementary football would be doing exactly what you're saying, and that would be to get out there, throw the ball, get a big lead, force Taylor Heineke to come back against you while Randy Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Micah Parsons all have their ears pinned back. That's exactly what you'd want to happen. But what you want to happen and what actually does happen are 2 different things. And my thing is that I hate the idea of like, well, they're doing this, can't run it today. Like, you don't think that teams are trying to stop them running the football in 2016 with Zeke and they went 13-3? You don't think that the Buffalo Bills knew that New England was about to run every single time?
No, you're right.
Hey.
Through the first quarter, I think we got the game plan. Mac Jones isn't throwing while he's wearing this scuba suit. Like, it was pretty obvious at that point, but they were still able to run the football.
That opening touchdown run,
did you see that?
Scuba Steve.
He got the idea from Tom Brady. It's like a scuba suit. He was like an underwater scuba suit he was wearing, like had the head thing and everything.
To your point, that opening touchdown run by the Patriots, there were 10 guys in the box trying to stop them, and one guy was out of his gap, and sometimes that's all it takes. That's why I agree with you. You can't just give up on the run necessarily.
You know what that is? You know what that is? That is pure coaching. All week, he knew what the weather was going to be. He got with his offensive linemen, their run scheme, and they figured out how they were going to run right over him.
Well, and I think that they want to throw the ball in this game, like I just said, but they're going to have to run it in certain situations when Washington knows they're going to run. And when they do that, I think that you could see some more of those Connor McGovern type packages. Not necessarily Connor McGovern, but I don't know if it'll be with Terrence Steele. It might be with Connor Williams, with an extra offensive lineman being like, hey, we're going to bring in 6 offensive linemen. You guys know we're going to run it. We got to try and run it on these situations. We're running the football. 6 offensive linemen, maybe a fullback in there too. Come and get it. We have to at least establish that we can get these yards when we need to. You're not just going to be able to throw 70 times in the game.
But yards are yards. That's my favorite quote of all time, that Kellen Moore. He said it after the Tampa game, didn't he? Yeah. After the opener?
Yeah.
Yards are yards. He's exactly right. It doesn't matter how you get the yards. You do what you have to against a defense to win. And this Cowboys offense is very well equipped to do whatever they need to do. Now, the offensive line, the continuity, how it's playing, it has a major hand in it. But I'll tell you this, my preference, I'd rather they be much better at pass protection blocking than run blocking, because Dak running for his life and having no time to throw is worse than not being able to run. So if I had to trade one or the other, I still think this thing is more about Dak than anything else. And when push comes to shove, if they're going to win something, Dak's going to be the one to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. I was thinking about Dak's press conference today. Like, undoubtedly, he hasn't been playing as well in the last few games. He'll tell you that. But I feel like there's some going back and forth between, like, oh, it's easy. We've been doing this all our lives, too. It's not that simple. If it was simple, it wouldn't be fun. And, like, oh, the receivers and we know what page we're on, versus, well, we just missed a game and we've been out and now we need to get back our timing. Like, why is your timing gone after like a week and a half when you've been playing together for years?
And what about at the beginning of the year when it was
right?
Hey, whatever
in 15 months.
Well, no, I was going to say what about the idea of like, well, we're just going to do whatever we want. If you want to stop the run, we'll throw. If you're trying to stop us passing, we'll run. Like, you don't hear that talk anymore.
That's where they were. They were unstoppable for about 6 weeks there.
Well, they're 10 of 41 on third down the last 3 games. That is completely on the quarterback. I don't care. It just is. He's got to figure out that's what he's so good at.
He makes the most money, and the wins and losses are attached to him. But you mentioned the offensive line. They're not controlling the line of scrimmage in the run game or the pass game like they have. And I think you go back and watch the Saints game, like he's affected on some of these throws. And I think
particularly that game.
Yeah. And and there is timing with the receivers, and there is that tight coverage that Denver did provide kind of an option for teams to try to defend them. And I think it's not just Dak, but he's obviously part of it.
There are 2 statistics going into this Washington game that I'm interested in. And one of them means the Cowboys are going to win, and one of them means the Redskins are going to win.
Washington football team.
I'm sorry. I did it 3 times yesterday. I'm old. It's hard. Washington football team.
I did that with my dad on Sunday on the phone. He said it.
He said it too?
I'm like, Dad, can I give you a homework assignment for the week? By Sunday, Washington football team.
Okay.
Well, in Steve's case, I'm just surprised that he's said it because you called the Raiders Vegas. Because generally people that say
the
R word all the time, but I'm just saying, like, most people, like Jori.
Vegas is just fun to say.
Most people say, like, Oakland, you know?
If they would name their team something that's easier to roll off the tongue.
But
next year.
What
next
if that,
year. They
hold
got to
on.
name next year. Right?
What if that never happens? It's on the table that this might be it going forward.
It may be the Washington football team.
Really?
Back to my statistics. Washington, the last 4 games in their win streak, 58% on third down. 58%. They were 11 of 19 in beating Tampa Bay. Now, that is Taylor Heineke doing a wonderful job. That leads you to believe the Cowboys are in big trouble. But the other one is the turnover margin. Cowboys are +7. They're -5. That's a no-brainer. That's how you win football games right there. And that's how they beat the Saints. Even though Taysom Hill was awful. That's how the Cowboys won that game. Turnovers. But that's what makes sitting right here so interesting. Because it's going to go one way or the other with this team, and it couldn't be a better matchup than with Washington, who's won 4 straight, and they're trying to get within a game, and then it's uh-oh time, isn't it?
Yeah. Going back to the offensive line, undoubtedly, like we said, Dak's making $40 million, and it's his job to overcome whatever challenges there are on the opposing side or on his. But even if Denver gave this blueprint, why does the offensive line seem to be struggling so much relative to the beginning of the season when it's not like Tyron Smith and Zach Martin haven't seen defensive lines moving around as much? And I mean, it just seems like there's too much experience there and too much going on and too much success that they were capable of early in the season for defenses to be able to thwart them the way they have.
Well, and the Denver game's a perfect example. Zeke ran at 51 yards, Pollard 11. The reason why they lost that game because Dak wasn't very good. He was 19 of 39. He couldn't hit a receiver. That's it. Dak just didn't play good that day. And you're not going to win if your elite quarterback is going to play like that. But you're right.
But
they start looking for excuses. Oh, we don't have a rhythm. Amari's been out. Gallup's been, they start doing all that. The offensive line is this or that.
But do y'all think it's as simple as the shuffling of the offensive line hurting the continuity and hurting, I guess, the mental confidence?
Not having your offensive coaches for multiple games, offensive line coaches is probably a factor in it as well. But the interesting part is that while you can put more blame on certain players than others, there's nobody along that offensive line that hasn't made mistakes. I mean, I would say Zach Martin's probably made the least amount of them, but there are too many plays this year that when you watch them, the game over on the All-22, it just leaves you scratching your head like, wait, what are they doing here? Like, this is supposed to be like one of the strengths of the team. And I'd make the argument right now that if anybody came to me and was like, if you could just fix one part of the Cowboys to get them rolling again, to your point, Steve, Dak is $40 million. That's what everybody's looking at, but I would pick the offensive line.
Well, see, to me, it's no different than all the good teams this year. It's everybody's wondering what's wrong with the Chiefs. They have the same issues: offensive line, injuries, COVID, a lot of excuses. Bottom line, Mahomes plays well, they win.
Yeah, but I don't think he's really played that well this year, though.
He's sneaking up to it, and they've won. For what, 4 out of 5? 4 in a row?
That's another thing, though. You got to be able to win some.
Their line has been a big deal, and their secondary.
Okay, go to another team, Buffalo. Buffalo's got issues. They can't run the ball. They never try. They're struggling. If Josh Allen plays well, they're probably going to win.
All right, you back me in a corner then. All right, what's your answer on the Ravens? Because they've been winning over some pretty bad performances by their MVP candidate quarterback.
It's Harbaugh power.
No, it's called like the rest of the team also has to step up.
That's always been the case there, though.
I know. But that's
and Lamar just elevates it when he's really in a rhythm.
Absolutely.
But to me, it's the elite teams. Matt Stafford goes into a funk, and the Rams just. Stafford.
One more time.
Well,
transcribe that, Jori.
I didn't want to get the fuzzy microphone.
You did, though.
Not too late.
Yeah,
you did, though.
Nothing came out.
No,
it was just
Can I get a glass right here?
Yeah, what is this? Why do me and Rob just have these?
I don't know.
Here?
I don't feel
Rob,
safe.
did you put this up in your contract?
I did. I did not.
Let me tell you, at my age, I've had more boosters than.
I've had 3.
I never was
You've
good
had
at
3
this.
boosters?
Come up with a good analogy to finish the joke. I've had more boosters than. And I always go.
Well, what about Jerry in Hard Knocks when he was talking to his grandson? He's like, "I've had more shots than a Cocker Spaniel."
There you go. See, Jerry always has that.
That's part of Hard Knocks.
It never makes sense.
No.
Hardly.
I need to pull that drop.
It was great. Aiden Diggs and Jerry Jones, best part of Hard Knocks.
For sure.
All right, let's get to the final segment here on Media Mash on this Thursday. The Cowboys, although there is a new situation that all 3 of our fine beat writers will address to lead the segment, but the Cowboys are as close to Full Metal Jacket, as they call it, the healthiest.
Who calls it?
Well, they made a movie called that.
That's another.
But I don't think it was about a football team.
No, it's about the gun
kind
chamber being Full Metal Jacket. It means you're fully loaded.
Got it.
And so you just take that to a broader.
Yeah, I don't think you want to apply that movie, though, to this football team.
That movie was awesome.
Okay, but
the movie was so awesome. It's
So
chilling.
anyway.
Anyway, they're as healthy as they've been since training camp. Let's discuss that and what it means for a couple of areas in particular on the team next on Media Mash.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to Media Mash.
Cowboy fans excited everywhere. All right, I won't use the phrase again. Cowboys are as healthy as they've been since training camp, and until the day started that way, and we were going to discuss that in 2 particular areas. One of them being the front 7, but something has cropped up with one of the players on the Cowboys front 7. Whoever wants to start, tell us where things are with Micah Parsons and his hip.
Yeah, it's his hip. Was limited day in practice, and obviously that's not a good thing. I don't know that it's going to be something that necessarily keeps him out of the game, but he's your most valuable defensive player, and you've been able to move him all around, and he seems to be effective in every single position he plays. So if you could have anyone healthy for this game on defense, you'd want it to be him, so that's never great when you see something like that. But I guess the one thing I want to point out about this is just because a guy is on the injury report, don't think that that's like, oh, this is the first time he's been injured all year. Like, guys play through a lot of stuff. Micah has played through things throughout this season. So for him to be limited, though, I guess it's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, you just want to see all 3 guys on the field together and just kind of see what they can do. And, yeah, I don't think at this point there's anything that suggests it's something to really be concerned about for this week. But you just want to see it. And the other thing, too, is we'll see what that does for his role moving forward. If he goes back to being more of a linebacker, I think that would be important. I think that would help shore up the linebacker spot because they need a little bit of that going forward too and trying to stop the run because the Saints were able to have some success there. And look, Antonio Gibson's as tough of a matchup as you can see on their schedule this year.
Yeah, I think going back to the 3 guys on the field, Randy, DeMarcus, and Micah, Jori said on the radio this week, he's like, when they're in pursuit on the pass rush, I want to just take a picture, have that freeze frame, and let it be for a moment. So there's definitely been a lot of conversation about that. I think that, again, obviously you want everyone to be healthy. It's football. It's December. It's not usually how things work, especially when you're playing at Micah's rate. I am curious, going back to the idea of who is not 100% but not on the injury report and who is. Did he hurt his hip in practice this week? Was that something that's been lingering that escalated and held him out? Like, who is deciding to make that designation? It definitely seems as of now like he will play on Sunday. And again, they've got options to shoot him up. So we'll see. But also, Micah seems like the type of guy who, once he's in the game, for better or for worse, he's not focused on it. DeMarcus told us something similar this week. He said, if I break, I break. Like, I'm playing.
Well, you wonder if he's got obviously something bothering him. And Randy Gregory will be back in, and D-Law will be back in. Gallimore inside back in, maybe. All that. If this would be a game where less Micah is in the plan. Maybe he doesn't have to run around so much because he's going to be limited. Play, but, just doesn't have to be normal Micah with all the reinforcements coming. I don't know how that manifests itself on the field, though. Hey, Micah, don't be such an animal this game. Take care of your hip a little bit. We got other guys that can do what you've been doing in 2-3 different spots. I don't see how that could happen, but maybe you'd have
to manage it for him in terms of taking him off the field.
Less snaps, yeah.
Right, and the snaps that he would be on the field would be very similar to what we saw from Amari Cooper last week, where it was, okay, third downs, red zone. The most important, it would be, all right, Micah, get ready. You're going to be in. We're limiting you, but every third down you're going to be out there because we need you. Because to Rob's point, you can get run on all day if you're going to go get 4 turnovers. So if you can make a game-changing play here or there, it's going to cover up for a lot. That's there'll be people that I feel like after all these games with the all-22 footage, they'll always put out like these, Trayvon wasn't really, watch this run. They're running it to Trayvon's side. Like, I don't know. It doesn't look like Trayvon's really trying to make this tackle on this run play. Yeah, if he just keeps getting those interceptions, that really doesn't matter. So
if he breaks the team record,
rewind it back, put in slow motion. If he keeps getting those picks, that covers up.
He'll just go to the Pro Bowl 12 straight years and then right to the Hall of Fame.
I think they'll take that all day long.
Sort of like Deion Sanders, by the way.
And not like name names, but it seems like there are some guys on this team where you can watch the film and see that, and you're kind of like, is there accountability here? And then you have someone like Trayvon, who he was telling us today, he's like, when I look, I need to limit the explosive plays, not have that long play like I did at the end of the Saints game, still get the interceptions, also get better in run defense. Like, I like that he says aloud where his weaknesses are when asked instead of just like getting chippy about it.
So the possibility of D-Law, Gregory, Gallimore, Micah, thinking front seven here. Tristan Hill even. Odigizua, Carlos, the TD maker, Watkins, LV, Keanu, Armstrong. I mean, man. From what we've seen all year, especially with some of these guys who have rotated in because the others weren't there, how excited are you on how Quinn may figure out for this little group to be really awesome?
I'm really excited, but I thought Micah brought up a good point this week when he said, and he is my favorite quote, like by far.
Yeah.
When he talks about, he's like, yeah, I mean, you can take 2 good-looking people and put them together.
Two pretty people.
Yeah,
doesn't mean they're going to have a pretty kid.
It doesn't mean that they're going to be compatible. And while he was saying that in reference to him, Gregory, and DeMarcus Lawrence playing together, he was speaking more along the lines of like they need to get these practice reps and get on the same page when they're running these games and things like that. Because it's not like going to be one of these things where we're just like, you're just going to line up here, you're going to line up here, I'm going to line up here, and we're just going to go. Like they're going to move in a variety of ways. But if they're all healthy and they're out there, I mean, Dan Quinn has to be loving this. I mean that's the thing. He didn't expect this to happen. He thought he was going to have these guys all season, and he pointed out earlier in the week, 28 snaps to these 3 guys all season long. I mean, you never would have thought that. Now, of course, Micah has elevated his game that I don't care what anybody says, has exceeded everybody's expectations. So anything involving Micah Parsons going after the quarterback with other people going after the quarterback interests me.
Good. And by the way, beautiful people do flock to other beautiful people. Who we
Sure.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I used to always.
I think he is.
No, in all the promotional stuff I used to do in TV, there would be a picture, and I would say, man, it's hard being part of the beautiful people. I was being ironical because I have never had that in my game.
I want to. Go ahead.
No, I was just laughing. I was just laughing at Steve.
On what John said about our conversation with Dan Quinn this week and him saying, like, if you had told me how few snaps I would have my top guys together for, I would have been like, yikes, but he didn't use the word yikes.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you tweet out what he said?
I've already had enough swears on Twitter for the day.
That's why I like Dan Quinn, because he likes to swear.
Yes, there are some swears. A couple uses of the S word here, but he was saying, like, if you told me that then...
I like calling him swears. Stop swearing. Go ahead.
He said, if you had told me then, I would have been concerned, but now he actually loves that they've had to cycle through so many different players on the defensive line and the secondary because so many guys have risen to the occasion, and now you get guys back. to me, I think that's kind of how I would describe the difference between the offense and defense at this point in the season. Maybe not 3 weeks ago, maybe not 3 weeks from now, but going into this Washington game, it feels like the defense has found ways to step up when guys are out, to overcome the circumstances. It hasn't been perfect, but when they tell me everything we've gone through to this point is going to prepare us for the playoffs, I believe it. When the offense says that, it's like, okay, but it's time for you to start showing that now and putting things together. And it doesn't feel like they've done that the last couple weeks. So even if they're like, great, that was good, we went through that adversity, show us why it's great now.
To Jori's point that it's gotten totally forgotten because the game was last Thursday and there were 4 takeaways. But, like, if you just rewind back to where the Cowboys were in that game before that Jaron Kearse interception, like, things were not going well. But to, like, Jori's point, the defense has gone out of their way. They have stepped up when they've needed to make plays, even though, I mean, I go back to that Kansas City game. I felt like the defense was constantly, Micah making a play, getting the ball back, and then the offense, Dak had the interception right at.
But don't forget the 2 big offensive plays. Where are they without the 58-yard run from Pollard?
Oh,
I mean, the offense is nowhere in the 33-yard run by CD. Yeah.
And the Pollard play is just crazy because of the fact of it is just inches away from being a huge loss. Setting you back.
What a move. Oh, man, that was fun to watch. But they had 7 3-and-outs in the Saints game. They turned into a 3-and-out machine all of a sudden.
You never would have predicted at the beginning of the year they would ever have a game with 7 3-and-outs, regardless of opponent.
No, they looked like they were destined to average 35 a game for the whole season. That's why this is kind of a weird vibe around this team. And to Jori's point, there's an urgency level, it seems like, to get this fixed.
And quite honestly, the team that they're about to face is pretty good at taking advantages of teams that are in funks. Yeah. And with the Cowboys having trouble on 3rd down, having trouble running the football a little bit, 2 hobbled backs, Zeke maybe less than Tony this week. Who knows?
One reason for hope, though, I would say, is that Jaron Kearse has been eating a fruit roll-up every single day.
And that means...
That's what I'm saying. No, you know what is one positive that can come out?
He told us that. Ever since the Kansas City game, he played well that day, ate a fruit roll-up, and he's eaten one ever since. But
they've gone 1 and 2.
He doesn't even know what flavor
But he's played well, is what he was saying.
The defense has played well overall.
Yeah.
So keep it going.
Maybe the offense needs to.
You know what's one positive that can come out of this if Washington plays well? Maybe you motivate them to give Taylor Heineke a long-term deal and make him their franchise quarterback. That could be a good move for you.
I asked the crew yesterday. I'm going to ask you guys too, just because it amuses me. Somebody nationally compared Taylor Heineke to Tony Romo. Thought that he really reminded him of Tony Romo.
I don't know. I don't think
you guys see
the
that
arm
at
strength.
all?
Do you see the arm strength like that?
No, I don't.
I mean, Tony was a gunslinger.
Right.
Taylor's not a gunslinger.
I think they mean just by kind of being like the winner type, like
the
kind of
point
crafty.
guard with moxie.
Yeah. Just makes the plays happen. I could see that, but he doesn't have that type of arm.
And the baby face. He's got the baby face.
The escapability to kind of move around the pocket by
the Jedi ability.
The team has certainly rallied around him. Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. He the way he has played has rallied them. I just look at it as this isn't the NCAA basketball tournament. Like, these Cinderellas don't win it. Eventually, the end comes. It just does. And when you can give me all the magical Taylor Heineke stories, and I'm going to go, cool, you have that. If I can not have Chase Young and Montez Sweat on the team.
That's right.
And because people in Washington are talking about, it just hasn't been the same this year with Chase and Montez. And then since they were out,
They've won 4.
clicking. Yeah, right. I'm just kind of like, yeah, cool. Give me Chase and Montez over again. I'll go with that. Players win in this league. That's what it comes down to. And the Cowboys will have better players on Sunday, and there's no question about that.
But on the note of gunslingers, you know who else we saw was a gunslinger today?
Gene Hackman.
Jonathan Machota. We played a little bit of a media football game, and John has an arm.
I didn't see that. I left early.
Why are we talking about
Was he throwing bullets?
We don't need to be talking about this.
He had an arm. He seems to want to talk about this.
No, he doesn't. What do you have on your sheet of paper there?
Did you catch any? Because you're the famed receiver. You told us your story.
Oh,
Jori's got hands.
Yeah.
Jori can catch for sure.
Let's play some catch. Chill.
Real quick, though, on the Washington thing, we only got a couple of minutes here, but it's amazing to me, the NFL these days. On Halloween, the Cowboys were 6-1, and they were winning without Dak. Washington was 2-6. And who was thinking about them winning the division for the second year in a row.
Worst defense in the league at that point.
Just awful. And with
opposite.
Chase Young, with Montez Sweat. And since they're 4-0, Cowboys are 2-3. And all of a sudden, if the Cowboys don't go in there and win this game Sunday, they're a game behind, playing them again in another week. And who knows then if the Cowboys are a surefire playoff team. Because it was always about winning the division. Oh, that's over. They're going to win the division, be the 4th seed at the worst. And it changes so quickly. But there's a lot of things about this game that are pretty scary if you go by what Washington's done the last 4 games. You know, they're averaging 137 per game running the football. They're giving up 17 points per game. They're doing sneaky 58.5 on third down. They're doing sneaky things to win with
17 points a game. If the Cowboys can't score...
No, that's what they've given up.
No, but I'm just saying, like, okay, if you hold the Cowboys to 17, the Cowboys have no excuse. They should not be held to 17 by any team.
Chiefs did. Held them to 9.
Right. I understand that. But I'm saying that there's no excuse for it. Like, it should not happen with this offense, with having all these guys back. At least with the Chiefs game, you can sit there and say there was an Amari. CD got the concussion and didn't play in the second half. Like, there's no excuses with all these weapons. These are all your big dollar weapons that are out there.
Give me the winner. Are you allowed to do that, or do you have something in your USA Today contract where you're not allowed to do that?
We have to predict every game and every score.
Jori loves doing that. It's her favorite part of the job.
Favorite part of the game. I'm going Cowboys win, and I actually think, going back to what you were just saying, that it's really good for the Cowboys that this is a closer game and a more meaningful game than we thought it would be a few weeks ago. I think the Cowboys need to start off showing this week they can win on the road, they can win when the stakes are higher, and they can get their offense going while their defense comes back. So Cowboys win, and let's get this formula where it needs to.
Cowboys win, but I think it's going to be ugly again.
Middling again, yeah.
I mean, I just think Washington's making a living off of winning ugly and mucking things up and making it difficult, and this rivalry's weird. We were talking during the player interviews about how, like, weird, going back to Romo era, weird stuff happens in those games at Washington. I don't know. I think it's going to be another close, kind of sloppy game, but they find a way to win.
Yeah, I was saying earlier in the week, 24-17 Cowboys. But after McCarthy today, I think Cowboys win 35-17.
I like the Cowboys.
You just gave them like 17 more points.
17. Yeah. But, I like this when people say, Dak Prescott 7-1 against Washington. That doesn't matter. One, he's never faced Taylor Heineke.
Oh boy, are we going to do this? As Chill would say, are we doing this? No, really? I would say this. I would say this on those games though. Going back and looking at it, the biggest difference is that you're also talking those 8 games, 220 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. Like, is that the same Dak that we're seeing now? That would be interesting. He had talked about running more, but are we going to see a more running Dak against Washington? I doubt it.
Yeah, he looks like he's saving that for when it really matters later in the year.
He kind of alluded to that today.
Did he?
There's kind of a time and place to do it.
He doesn't want to do it right now because he wants to be here for the long haul.
I'm with John. I mean, eventually, they're going to get something going off. I think they're just too talented.
That's my point when they're like, oh, well, there's going to be a time for it, but they haven't showed it yet. You're not that far from the time, and if you don't start getting in a groove now, it's going to be too late.
See, I love what you're saying, and I'm going to be more direct than you, and I hope he's listening to Media Mash right now because it'll be further chipness on his shoulder. Dak's got to play better, period. If they're going to win something ever in the near future, anyway, it's going to be because Dak is playing the way Dak can play. And the last 3 games he hasn't been. So, Dak, play better.
He listens.
I want to thank rookie Chris Beam for what he does. Thank you guys for letting me talk Cowboys with you again. Enjoy the game Sunday. We'll do it again next week, okay? Bye.
Good. I look forward to it.
Bye. Everybody say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!